Good afternoon, everyone. Let me call to order this meeting of the West Palm Beach CRA. Today is Monday, November 10th. Time is 4 p.m. We will first start with comments from the public. Do we have any cards?
No, Mayor.
All right. Comments from the dais. President Lambert.
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Fox.
Mayor, thank you. I do have a few comments. I think to say that I have buyer's remorse since our last meeting would be a severe understatement. In all the time I've been here, I don't have a vote that I can look back on and say I regret more than the vote on the Elizabetta leases. I regretted it at the time I made that vote. I regretted it every single day since. I have looked into what the opportunities would be for me to change my vote or to have a motion to reconsider, and unfortunately the contracts were signed on October 23rd, so it's too late for those things to happen. But I just want to go on record to say that I hope in the future, we can make sure that we have all the information that is needed before we make these kind of votes, because I feel like I had at least 4 meetings to discuss those leases, and still at the very last minute, we were getting new information. I regret that I didn't ask for a continuance or to wait till we had additional information, and I take full responsibility for that. But I think it's one of the things that maybe our commission office needs to consider, whether or not we need to have our own advisors that are making sure that we're prepared on the issues to see all the sides and not just the things that the staff, your staff, are presenting to us. I have full confidence in your staff. I think we have the best team anywhere. But as you have reminded us very frequently, that we have no ability to deal with personnel issues. And so when the staff is only reporting to one person, I'm not sure I have all the confidence that I'm getting all the facts. And I am, as we're representing 120,000 people, I want to make sure in the future that is, that I have everything needed to make sure that we're making the best decisions going forward. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Warren.
I have no comments.
Commissioner Ward.
No comments.
Mr. Ruger, are there any deletions, additions, reorganization of the agenda?
Mayor, just in light that we have just the presentation, I was going to recommend moving the consent calendar up to be considered prior to the presentation so that we can focus on the content of today's meeting.
Any objection to considering consent before we look at item 6? Hearing none, okay. Any comments, questions on consent items 7.1 and 7.2? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Okay. Item 6.1, presentation for draft invitation to negotiate terms for CRA-owned parcels on Broadway Boulevard.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Kelsey King, CRA Project Manager, presenting the draft terms for the intent to negotiate for the CRA-owned parcels on Broadway Boulevard. So today's presentation, I'll provide a quick review of the BMUD code update, the CRA goals as it pertains to BMUD, our proposed approach to the ITN, components of the ITN, our anticipated timeline, a quick summary, and then we'll end with questions and a discussion by the board. So back in May of 2024, the West Palm Beach CRA had retained Dover Cole with the intent to revise the zoning ordinance to guide growth and development of the community. Their contract was broken up into 2 phases. The first phase was concerning the public engagement and the public's vision for the Broadway corridor. The second phase focused on the comprehensive plan amendments for BMUD and the public adoption process, which was completed in March of this year. On your screen, you're going to see Broadway Boulevard as it is today on the left, and then the right side will show you renderings of Broadway Boulevard with the full regulations implemented. So the CRA has specific goals outlined for BMUD in our strategic finance plan, goal 2 being to continue the acquisition of land along the corridor that will be used for continuing the redevelopment along Broadway. This goal has been achieved with our acquisition of 6 parcels along the corridor. Goal 3 being to use those CRA-owned parcels and develop an RFP for a development project that can illustrate the use of the newly adopted BMUD regulations, which we are here today with to discuss. Goal 5, along the same vein, to assist the city with developing city-owned property along the Broadway corridor, creating more housing. At this point in time, the CRA owns a minimum set of contiguous parcels for an effective redevelopment project. Within the ITN, we'll have the project site information for a total of 7 sites shown on your screen. That information will include the acreage, square footage, legal description, the site's assessed value, and whether it is vacant or not. Our proposed approach towards this ITN will be a 2-step process. The first part will focus on the pre-qualification of the developer and their experience, along with their financial capacity to undertake the project. The second part will be the conceptual development plan and their project proposal. So again, step 1 focuses on the financial qualification and capability of the developer. Within the ITN, we will specifically request 2 years of externally reviewed financial statements, or if those financial statements have not been reviewed or audited, they need to be accompanied by a bank letter stating estimated borrowing capacity and a bank reference. The developer and team qualifications will require the breakdown and profile of the full development team, the developer's experience with mixed-use or like-kind developments envisioned for BMUD, the developer's specialized skills they are bringing towards the project, and their full experience in public financing and private-public partnerships. Step 2 will require the developer to provide a statement of vision provided by developer prioritizing their approach to catalyze BMUD's revitalization, their approach and application of the new BMUD regulations, how they are uniquely qualified to fulfill these goals, and how they intend to bring forward an architecturally distinctive project. Step 2 will also require the developer to bring forward a site plan, conceptual renderings, proposed end uses, the parking needs and configuration, the ingress and egress of the site, their full development schedule, and they will also be requested to identify any potential regulatory issues and the variances or waivers needed to circumvent those regulatory issues. After today's presentation, we intend to finalize the ITN and NOD towards the end of November. Issuance will occur at some point in December and will be out for 60 days total. The submittal deadline will occur in March. Between March and April, we'll begin the evaluation period, during which we will start to pre-qualify the developers through a technical review committee. The technical review committee will qualify no more than 3 developers that will be brought forward to the board for project selection in May. And then in June, we will initiate negotiations with the developers. In summation, the current staff direction has always been to implement the new BMUD regulations, and the intent to negotiate as drafted today reflects that goal. Other specific goals by the CRA board need to be conveyed for inclusion in the intent to negotiate, and as the draft changes with updates, we will notify board members, but once it's issued, we cannot change the terms or guidelines. And so now I'll open up to the board for discussion.
Thank you for that presentation. Any questions, comments, Commissioner Ward?
Thank you, and I'm sorry if I missed this, but I know we discussed the potential of developers coming in as a partner. Is that identified within the ITN as far as, hey, you are welcome to partner up with other developers if you see fit?
Yes, we can include that in the ITN, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Warren.
Is there an opportunity that we can put in here for developers that may be interested in actually taking on someone that may not be in position yet to apply on their own in order to be able to show them?
If that is a specific request of the board, we can definitely draft it in the way that allows for that, yes.
I would like to see something like that in place.
Commissioner Ward.
Well, I get the tone, or I get where you're trying to, get your goal. But I fear that I don't want, this is like our catalyst moment. We've done a lot to acquire these properties, move this forward in the right direction. We've listed as much as we can within BMUD. This has been presented as more straightforward of development community, tell us what you want. I don't want anything to stall this up to where we are dealing with a situation like we've had in other areas where they weren't ready, they didn't know what they were doing, they took forever, and we're still sitting with it. And so to me, I almost see that. I'd be curious to see the language because I would see that as a barrier. And I know my specific goals are to eliminate as many barriers as possible so that we see a final production of development within that spot of Broadway. So that's the only reason I would actually be against that.
Commissioner Warren?
I would love to see it be able to move forward as well. But I also think that that we can look at how the information can be crafted so that it does not pose a barrier. And I would not support anything that presented a barrier to us moving forward. But if there's an opportunity to be created, I would love to see that we as leaders in the community are able to help that happen.
Understood. Thank you.
President Lambert?
What would be the small business participation requirements on this?
So my understanding is that we'd have to ask procurement on that. I'm not exactly sure what the requirements exactly would be.
And I can tell you generally how it works is the code sets, I believe, an 18% goal. And then when procurement, the small business division of the procurement office looks at it, they look and see what are the particular components of the job and are there small businesses available to meet the 18%. And if they are, they'll put 18%. If there are not, they will lower it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments on this item? Hearing none, I'll entertain all right, so this is just a discussion. There's really no motion that we need to adopt on this, right?
Right. So this was just the opportunity prior to anything being drafted. I mean, we're at the point now where we can issue this ITN and continue the next phase of the project. So to date, as Kelsey had mentioned, it's just implementing the BMUD regulations because there's lots of flexibility, there's lots of nuances in there. We just didn't want to assume if there was any other specifics that the board wanted included. This is the opportunity to include those because we just didn't want to have any kind of confusion after the document went out. And then also if there's any other direction based on reviews, is just the opportunity to make sure that we're thorough and making sure that we hit the goals that the board is intending with these parcels that are on Broadway.
Okay. President Lambert?
Thank you. I'm excited to see this come forward and, to be that catalyst for this area. As we've seen in some of our other ITNs, just the desire to have somebody who will be a true partner with us on this and be able to work with us and, provide community benefits and ability to listen to the community on what is really needed in this specific area would be important to me.
All right, staff, do you have all the direction you need? Do you have any questions of us as to direction?
No, we're all good. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
That's the last item on this agenda, so this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.